Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Whoo! Okay, just finished up a session in the gym. This was the Rip It program brought to us for free from Meg Squats, who is she's a YouTuber, but I don't know, this was an excellent program in helping reach a new 1 rep max on deadlift, which I was able to achieve at 175 today. Whoop, whoop. So that's exciting. That is not my all-time 1 rep max, but that is an excellent 1 rep max post back injury. Because if you guys don't remember, I guess, back April, May, April, because it was around Sebastian, my middle son's birthday, when I hurt myself, and I have been rehabbing and trying to get back to where I was pre-back injury. So 175 is nothing to scoff at, and I'm excited to say the least. I will repeat this program because I am bound and determined to get to 225. I know I can do it. Just got to put in the work. So today I want to talk about calories. I've gotten a lot of questions lately about how do I know how many calories to eat. A lot of people sharing that they're eating these super low calorie diets and they are engaged in all kinds of exercise, and it makes me so nervous for them. People are generally confused about the whole calorie thing. Calories, for those that are into physical fitness and into body transformation, are usually kind of scared of calories. Until we understand the science behind it, I think that we can't really improve and develop a better relationship with food. So that's what we're going to talk about today. First and foremost, calorie equals energy. So a calorie are not these like little tiny creatures that crawl into your closet in the middle of the night and sew your clothes tighter. Now, they are simply a measure of energy, and your body, every single thing in your body, needs calories in order to function. Approximately 70% of your biological stuff that has to happen on the reg, just for you to walk around and be a human being in the world, comes from your calories. Now, let's ask ourselves, are any one of us alike? Sure, we've got some similarities, but you compare me to another female and our caloric needs are going to be completely different because of the fact that we could be different heights, we could be different weights, different muscle mass, fat volume, activity levels, daily energy expenditure in terms of what do we do for a living, for a job. Is one of us up walking around a whole lot, or do we sit at a desk? How old we are, our gender, and then what kind of diet are we eating? All of these things factor into how many calories we're going to need. So you can see how it could be quite problematic when we pay attention to advice of a cookie cutter diet plan that tells us, just eat 1,200 calories and you'll lose weight. If your calorie needs as an individual are in line with 1,600 calories a day, of course you're going to lose weight on 1,200 calories. But what also is going to happen is you are going to adapt your metabolism to a 1,200 calorie diet, so that eventually what could happen, and what happens most of the time when we begin to intake calories once again, our metabolism is adapted to a 1,200 calorie intake, and so we begin to see fat gain. Then we start to do more cardio, we start to see performance lags in the gym, we generally hate ourselves. And so we're walking around and we're like, I don't know what's happening. Well, your metabolism has adapted to a super low calorie diet because you're not giving it the calories that it needs. So where do we find out how many calories we need? Where does that 70% for our biology come from? Well, it comes from a lot of things, but basically your BMR is your height, your weight, and your total daily energy expenditure that you need just in general. And we can run those numbers and we come up with a pretty solid baseline number, and the general rule of thumb is that you don't want to eat below your BMR, because BMR is not necessarily factoring in the volume of exercise that we do. I have seen some formulas that do calculate that in, but that's going to be more total daily energy expenditure, was a different formula entirely. But for BMR, it's some basic stuff, and that's just what we need before we even start to exercise. So healthy diet, because what I want you guys to get to one day is a healthy diet that is going to allow you to do the things that you're currently doing that you really enjoy for a long, long time, because there is no reason in the world for you to be miserable and make you want to kill yourself because the diet that you eat is terrible. You know, eating way too many calories, you have to ask yourself, because y'all, life is really short. Today is 1 week that my father-in-law passed away. And death causes you to reevaluate your life and see, are you living right? And are you really living out your life so that one day when you pass away, you're happy with the life you've lived? I personally want to lay my head down at the end of every day knowing that if I were to pass away in the middle of the night, that I would be happy and proud for anybody to talk about my life. And I think that a super low calorie diet with the intention of getting lean, not necessarily has a place in those goals. So I feel like there is a place for a diet, a lower calorie diet, and calories at the end of the day. You got to be in a calorie deficit in order to accomplish fat loss, because that is it. That's just, you can frame it in any fancy language that you want, and you can say that if you eat these foods, they're going to be magical. That's all crap. At the end of the day, it boils down to, are you burning more calories than you are taking in? So we can accomplish that through decreasing our calorie intake, how much food we're eating, or how much exercise we're doing. Goal is to do both, but some people hate exercise, some people hate a diet. It's really hard to out-train a bad diet, though, so I say that one loosely. But how do we know how many calories that we need to take in if we have a goal of fat loss? Well, you can run some fancy calculators. They're out there. I would encourage you to Google the Mifflin-St. Jean formula, because that's kind of the gold standard. At least it was, very recently. I think that's the one that's routinely looked at as like that's kind of the gold nugget. So if anybody knows differently, please feel free, but my dietitian friends tell me that's the gold standard, so that's what we're going to go with. But an easy way to figure out how many calories that you need is simply to keep a food journal of everything that you're eating, okay? Jot down the number of calories, and at the end of the week, see where you are. You should also do this if you have a significant amount of weight to lose. It's also a good idea to weigh yourself every day and take the weekly average of that and see where you are at the end of the week. So if you are, actually, I think you should do that for 2 weeks so that we can get a good solid number. And y'all, this is a scientific application. This is not voodoo and snake oil. This is a scientific approach, and I'm breaking it down in the most simplistic terms for you. So do this for like 2 weeks. Even better if you can go for a month, so we get a really, really solid base. An idea on average, how many calories are you taking in? How much do you weigh? And so if by the end of a month we're here and our weight is here and we want this weight to come down, what we can do is we can just take 20% off of that total calorie intake for the week or for the month. Consistently eat at that 20% less and see what happens to your weight. Is it going up, 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 up? We can begin to see pretty quickly if our weight is going to track up on that average, which is take your weight 7 days. What is the average? Next 7 days. What is the average? Is that tracking down? Good job. You're going in the right direction. So then we can see that if we're eating on average this and we decrease by 20%, but we're still not losing weight after a good 4-week period of time, then, you should be able to see a difference in about 2, but I would say 4. But you should begin to see a trend. And if it's tracking up, we know that our calories are still too high. Okay. So then we need to drop them down. I would say 10%. Because what happens when we get all wild and crazy and we think like, okay, I'm just not going to eat any food, we become miserable very quickly. We cannot perform in the gym, so that your energy expenditure in the gym when you're doing exercise to burn calories is down. Because depending on your output in the gym, that's going to make a big difference. If we can't do this for long term because we hate ourselves, how long do you think you're going to be able to sustain on that diet? Also, are you going to have any friends at the end of that? Because if you're on a super low calorie diet, you're not going to be a very nice person to be around. I don't know, maybe you are. But this whole concept of calories are not evil things. They are things that your body needs just in order to survive. So we're all unique little snowflakes, okay? We all have unique calorie needs. You do not have to eat 1,200 calories in order to lose weight, which I hope by now we have rephrased our wording so that we're no longer talking about our body goals in terms of weight. Rather, we're talking about fat loss. Because that's what you want to do. Women especially, I think women have an idea of what they want their physique to look like, and they equate a number on the scale to what that looks like, and those two things are just, it's not, that doesn't necessarily ever really work out in that manner. What they want to achieve is fat loss, because when we lose fat, and also hopefully we're working on building some muscle, because if you lose weight, I mean, sure, you could be one size, and if you lose weight, scale weight, you're just going to get smaller, but essentially you're going to look the same. Your body composition didn't change. But if you want to change the way your body looks, the shape of it, you're going to have to build some muscle and lose some fat, because that is how we get this look that we're going for. And out of all the women that I've talked to, that's what they're typically going for. It's not that they think that it has to do with scale weight, but at the end of everything, it really has to do with how does their body look. Because if cellulite is a problem of yours, it's not necessarily going to get better just because your scale weight dropped. Not necessarily. Most of the time, no. And if you are female over the age of 30 and perhaps you've had some children, in fact, dropping that scale weight isn't going to do your cellulite any favors. In fact, it's probably going to make it worse, because as we get smaller, if we've not done anything to change the fat in that area, the cellulite is still going to be a problem. So we have to build muscle, okay? Muscle is taking up much less space. So you got all this muscle, you got all this fat. This fat in general, it spreads as this gooey, sticky substance, it spreads. It takes up much more space, and it's lumpy and bumpy up underneath the skin. But this muscle is this nice, dense little material that the skin sits nicely over, and you don't have to have super low body fat in order to look good, So in order to to build this muscle, we have to have calories present, and we are not going to achieve this, which is this being muscle. We're not going to achieve a building of this and a development of this if our calories are super duper low, okay? You're going to achieve weight loss, which we've already talked about. That is not going to make your body look any different. You're simply going to get smaller, okay? You'll still be same you. You're just a smaller version, okay? But if we build up some muscle and we drop our fat, which let me tell you, if you're building muscle over time, that fat is going to come down. That's the laws of nature. I don't make the rules, kids, but I am just sharing the science with you. So let's recap. 1,200 is stupid. 1,200 calories is pretty much stupid. Not for everybody. Now, unless that is your number, then it's not stupid at all. But just for your average female that's very, very active, average height, 1,200 is... I just get nervous, because does anybody know where that number came from? No, none of us do. It just is some stupid number that got flung out there, and people just latched onto it as the gospel, and that's just it's not true for everybody, okay? Yours is individual and unique for your own specific needs, because as we talked about, height, weight, gender, life experience, your job, what you do on the daily, how active you are, your exercise energy level, all of these things play a role in figuring out how much of the foods we got to eat in order just to survive. So it's complicated is what I'm saying. It's not just that easy where you can just take a number. You got to do a little bit of work. So that's it. So if you are eating super low calorie diet, I hope that you will reevaluate. Also, shout out to healthy, clean foods. These foods that are, your vitamins and your nutrient dense foods, your lean chicken, your fish, your vegetables, your fruits, your beans, legumes. and even some grains, possibly some dairy. All those things, when you're eating those as opposed to nutrient void foods, like stuff you got to rip open a package, the potato chips, the candy bars, things like that, those don't burn quite as hot. So this is something really cool, and then I'm going to end this video. So the foods that you eat, you see on a package, there's a calorie amount on there. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the number of calories that your body is going to take from that food, okay? So if you're eating potato chips, you're going to be getting the calories that your body is going to be utilizing from that as far as energy is concerned. And too much energy is what causes our fat gain. The energy that you're going to take from that is more in line with what you see on the package, okay? But if we are eating things like broccoli and sweet potatoes and lean chicken and brown rice and all these fancy foods that we've seen, their nutrient profile is such that when we ingest those, that we are not fully taking on, and I'm really ripping this science to shreds. This is just, I'm doing a terrible job of articulating it from a scientific perspective. Scientists are probably like, if any scientists are watching my video, you're probably cringing. But nonetheless, essentially those take more calories to digest them. Okay, you've heard of negative calorie foods, maybe, possibly. The more nutrient dense a food is, usually these are our clean foods that we see, our whole foods. Those typically just take more energy to digest, and so what we take from them is not that same number that we would see on a package, okay? 150 calories of potato chips digested in the body is completely different than 150 calories of chicken and apples. Okay, what you're taking in and digesting, you're going to have a considerable uptick in your metabolism when we're eating those whole foods, which is another bonus and a shout out to why we need to eat whole foods, just in general, but especially if we're in a plan to lose fat. Again, I don't make the rules. I'm just here to share the science with you guys. All right, so it's Friday. I got to get inside. I'm going to curl this hair. I'm having my picture made at work today. I got to get beautiful. But that's it. I hope you guys were able to take away something fantastic from this video. And if I can answer any follow-up questions or if something didn't make sense, reach out to me. We'll figure it out together. All right? I love y'all. Keep it classy. Hope you're doing great. Have a great day. Bye-bye.